G'day you mob, how's it going? Welcome to another episode of Pete vs. Plants. I am Pete, the plants are off camera. So today we've got a few little chores to do. The first thing is that my mum has decided to support my little business by buying some pots for me to fill with plants that she can give as gifts to family members. So I have to get into the collection and find, bloody hell, some massive truck just driving past, spraying the weeds in the gutter, I think. Hopefully you guys couldn't hear that. Anyway, I've mentioned it, so you're now aware of it. So I've got to find some plants to fit into these pots. And it's one of those things that's really funny. I'm always like, do I want to give people my plants? Because I think you guys will know what it's like. Once you become a plant parent, it's not so much that I don't really trust other people. It's partly that. Who am I kidding? But I think people just don't really give a shit about plants. I know what I was like before I was into plants, and I have a feeling the average person is like that. So I think the plants that I am choosing to be gifts, I am almost certainly giving the death penalty to at some point, right? I don't think that they have a long life expectancy above them. So that's the sort of thing I'm like, do I pick the beautiful ones that I have duplicates of that I would like to see thrive and live a happy life? Or do I just pick ones that I'm like, whatever, you know, they'll do well for a few months until they've forgotten to be watered and then, All right, anyway, let's get in and see if we can find something interesting. I've got all sorts of stuff hiding in the collection here, and I'm trying to consider what is going to fit in these pots. I have a bunch of these ZZ Ravens that I don't really need, and I think these would probably do well. They can probably handle underwatering. Well, they can handle underwatering very well. So I bought one of these. I think I got one of these for $50 originally from Bunnings. I saw it show up there or somewhere else. It may have been a different nursery, and ended up dividing it up and got 9 plants out of it. And they took forever. I was like, what's going to happen? Like, are they going to actually take off or what? But eventually, this was the newest shoot on this one at least. And so they have done pretty well. They kind of work like potatoes, I think. Again, I haven't done that much research on them, but they have like these tuber bulb things below the surface that you can kind of just divide up, and they, as long as they've got a few leaves, I think they do pretty well. And this is one of those cool plants that you can propagate with effectively any part of the plant. Like, you can divide it up, you can take I guess it's the petiole, is it? I don't know if this is the stem or the petiole. It's probably the petiole because the leaves are coming straight out of it. Although actually they do have tiny, tiny, tiny little petioles that branch out from this section. But you can do that, and you can take a leaf off, and you can also chuck that into a prop box or something, and they'll propagate, but they just take a very long time. So I think number 1 is going to be the Raven ZZ plant here. So let's see. I'll get that. We'll pot them up shortly. Now, I could do 2 of those because I do actually have quite a few. What else have we got? Thinking. The other thing is too, a lot of my plants aren't very pretty because they're propagations of propagations, and so they're sort of all growing out. So I think I have to pick things that are going to look nice. Okay, the other one I could do, I'm thinking I could be really nasty. I could give them this. This is a black velvet alocasia, right? And these things are notoriously difficult to keep alive and do well, at least for me and the people I know. They tend to be pretty choosy, which is why I think Bunnings and other plant stores are always stocked up on them, because people are always trying to buy new ones. So there's that one. I've got an Epipremnum mandula. I've got 2 of them, and I need to get rid of one or put them together. So I could get rid of one of those. I'll show you the one that I'm thinking about. Lean in here. So that's that one, the mandula. So perhaps we'll chuck him up on the table and have a think. I got another one for you. A neon pothos. This is Epipremnum aureum. This one's actually a nice one. I think I propagated this a while back, so I think that'll be a nice one to include too. And then I've got some micans, or I've got some heartleaf philodendron. I can probably do either of those. The heartleaf's already in a sort of large pot, although it does have moss on the top of it. So I might have to adjust these and repot some of them. but I reckon those 4 are probably going to be sweet. So I might have to repot these guys so that they're in pots that are kind of pretty snug with these cash pots. I always feel so weird saying that. Cash pots, hide pots. I think it's French originally. Caché is to hide, and pot, I would imagine, is pot. Cash pot, so it hides the pot, right? You get these and they're full of weed. Okay, so this one, it's a bit small. It might fit in here okay. Although I think again, yeah, I think we'll just pot these guys up in slightly larger pots. I know, they're not ready for it, but hey, they're going to family members. They're going to get overwatered anyway, you know what's going to happen. So I'll just put them in an extra chunky mix and hopefully they'll do all right. Bear with me, I'll be back. Okay, extra chunky mix acquired. Now, I need some pots. Okay, so I've got a bunch of pots here that I have taken other plants out of. I'm not going to use clear ones because I think it's probably going to be a bit of a waste. What do I need now? I need something to pot into. Maybe I will just try and use my little lid here. That might make life a little easier. So we'll start with the Mandula. And you know what? The only issue with this one is that I think it's gonna, it looks a bit raggedy. I might keep this one. I'll give them the Mycans. It looks a little nicer. This one's a bit Raggedy Ann. But the Mycans is in a tiny pot. So, yeah, is that a bit dodge? It's just too small, guys. I can't put that into a pot like this. It's gonna die. It's gonna get so overwatered. I feel bad. What else have I got that I can give away? Everything else I want to keep. How does this one look? That's another pothos. Looks all right. What about this one, guys? What do you reckon? I think it's a green dragon. It is. I think this one will be all right. They're pretty hardy. So I think I will use the green dragon here, and I'm just going to, yeah, I think these can probably all, might be a bit big. I wonder if they can take these pots. Okay, these brown ones seem perfect. Yeah, perfect. Yes, perfect. Black one for this one. Maybe brown one for that one. What about these ones are sort of too tall. Yeah. Playing musical pots, guys. I think we'll just use a black one. So, the other thing I could do is chuck a whole bunch of different plants into a single pot so people get a whole mix of different plants. But I think it might be a bit, I don't know, a bit of a waste and a bit full on. So we will do number 1 here, and I guess you can go in this pot. We will take out these plastic clips. Although, yeah, you almost fit perfectly, don't you? Just the next size up, so it shouldn't be too bad. All right, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Pull you out. And this one was a wet stick that did not take. Okay. So I'm going to chuck some soil at the bottom of the pot, as is standard. Chuck these guys in, and then I guess just backfill. This one definitely needs a water. The good thing about pothos is they're so cheap and affordable and easy to get your hands on that you can just, I find, you just propagate the hell out of them, grow them out of, a bunch of different pots, and you can use them as gifts. And I think people like them because they're pretty forgiving. Most people, I think, could handle them in their houses, right? They'll know what to do, or at least have a lower chance of killing them. There we go. And I wonder, do I leave my tag in there so people can try and read it? I might have to switch the tag over and make it a little nicer. But there you go, number 1. And I wonder, should I get rid of this leaf? Who cares? It'll be fine. These ones are looking nice though. Coming out lush. Lush. So, what do we reckon about it in this pot? You feeling that, guys? Are you feeling it? I think we're good to go. So present number 1. All right. trying to think. I reckon this one, it has the most number of cuttings in it. So I think it'll probably do okay in the largest pot here out of all of the pots. And I also need to take the moss off the top because when we potted these cuttings up, there were quite a few at the top that I wasn't sure if they were going to survive or not because they didn't have much of a root system. I'm not sure if we did that in a video or not. We may have. You'll have to let me know if you find it, guys, or you can remember which one it was. But there is about, I think there's about 5 or 6 cuttings in here. So this will turn into a nice bush. Wow, and it really has, they really have sent their roots down. So I think what I'll do here, and this was such a sort of pain to try and pot up in the first place, I'm going to try and remove the moss, at least, you know, a bunch of it. The cuttings are falling out everywhere. Put some soil at the bottom of this pot, and then pick up the plug of cuttings here, and hopefully, oh, there's a root sneaking out the side here. Get you back in there, mate. Get down in the good stuff. And what are you doing? You've actually grown like mad. Okay, cool. I guess we'll just fill it in from the top and hopefully fill in all those gaps and give some support to these cuttings. But this one's been drying out like a bitch, so I am amazed how well those roots had grown down into the substrate there. It's only been about, I don't know, a month or two, and they have gone whoop, bonkers. Okay, so I'm just going to do this off camera. This is not going to be too glorious, but I'm effectively just chucking dirt on the top of the plant like so, and then just tapping it until it sinks down or falls off and gets into those gaps down below. And I might put a bit of the finer stuff on the top too. Again, sorry for talking off camera. And as I slap it, it kind of sinks down into the pot. So hopefully that'll all be good. And yeah, because I'm using such chunky mix, I don't think my relatives that get this are going to overwater it. They're much more likely to underwater it. But because these plants are so vocal, I think they'll probably notice pretty quickly if that happens. The other thing I can do, that I probably did originally, is try and plug this guy back into the pot. That was probably what was going on, to be honest. So, there we go. Soil on top of that guy. Okay. Boom. Sweet. So, that one's looking nice. I think this one's going to go off like a frog in a sock, guys. I think it's going to go bananas. Give it a month or two with that root system, and 1, 2, 3, 4, there's at least 4 growth points that I can see, 5, at least 5 growth points. I think this is going to bush out like crazy, so hopefully it turns out to be a nice centerpiece in someone's kitchen or something. All right, so that's 2 of them sorted. Now, I don't think we need this one. We can probably just use the pot that this is already in. Boom! Number 3 done. Okay, so the neon one, this is probably the nicest one of all, and I think, check this out. You see that variegation there? I assume that's just a natural part of these neon pothoses, epipremnums, but looks really nice. I like these plants. Just having a look here to see, do I need to try and put this guy back into the pot? I think I might just leave it as is, but there's at least 3 growth points on this one, so it should be a nice plant. Again, this is probably the one I'd want out of the lot. All right, so that's those 3 done. God, I'm making a mess. It's unavoidable. So the last one is this guy. And I'm just thinking, do I have one that is in a pot about this size that I could just slide straight in here? Do I just use this pot? It's a bit, it's not taking up enough of the space. I reckon we just repot it. Maybe I can show you a bit of the anatomy too of this plant as we do that. So yeah, here you go. So relatively limited root system, at least on this guy. And you'll see that potato-like bulb at the bottom of the plant. So what you could do theoretically here, because there are roots coming out of both sides now, is chop it down the middle. Cat's just doing something weird off camera. Chop it down the middle and you'd probably get 2 plants, though you probably wouldn't want to do it with something this small. This is a nice sized one. And it's obviously just established itself and sent out this new growth, so it is sort of doing well. So I'm just gonna chuck some more soil at the bottom of the pot here, plonk this dude in and backfill and kind of center him up. You will see shortly. And I am noticing a few fungus gnats in my soil here, so I think it's time to change over my electric bug killers. They must have started running out of fuel. There we go. All right, so I think I'm gonna water all of these guys and then put them aside in their pots and give them to my mum tomorrow. She's coming over tomorrow and me and my dad are going to a whiskey night at the Bellarine Whiskey Distillery, Bellarine Distillery, or the Whiskery it's called. This is where I got married actually with my wife. So we got married there and I got a job there making whiskey. Go check the place out, free shout out to them, beautiful place. Russ and Craig run the whiskey stuff, Russ owns it. And yeah, it's just awesome if you like whiskey and you're down here on the Bellarine Peninsula. All right, so there you go, all 4 plants potted up and done. Hopefully these are nice little gifts for everyone. Hopefully you can sort of see these all on or off camera, I guess. Here we go. Ugh. And you guys will have to let me know in a comment below, how much should I charge my mum? Should I charge her? Should it be free? Should it be, you know, top-notch prices? What do you reckon? Is it mates rates? You tell me in a comment below. Anyway, thanks for joining me, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao!